Hello, everyone, and welcome to another book review. And finally, the fifth installment, the end, the finale of the Maze Runner series, The Fever Code by James Dashner. Now, I say finally and grand finale, but really, this book is a prequel. It is the direct sequel to The Kill Order, which is the fourth book, and it is the direct prequel to The Maze Runner, which is the fifth book. Chronologically, these books are not that hard to understand if you actually read them, but to explain them, basically it goes like this. Book 1, 2, and 3 are a trilogy, and books 4 and 5 are the prequels to said trilogy. This is the direct prequel. This involves the main character from the trilogy named Thomas. It follows him through his childhood, being raised by the organization known as Wicked. It follows him as he builds the mazes, helps build the mazes. His interactions with his fellows, like Teresa, and his fellow, comrades, friends, such as Teresa, Newt, what are the other characters? Meanhole, Albie, and Chuck. Did I miss anyone? Those are the main ones. Anyways. And so what's interesting, the dynamic. Maze Runner, Thomas starts, no memories. He seemingly meets these characters for the first time. This book, he actually meets the characters for the first time and grows a bond and friendships with all of them. And what's interesting about this book is he's kept in isolation while him and Teresa are kept in isolation also from each other. Whereas all the other characters can mingle and they spend their days all together, and at certain moments they're allowed to interact with all the other characters. The Wicked is always this annoying presence of an organization, because even when the characters think they're sneaking around, it's only because Wicked lets them sneak around and meet each other. And if they really want, they can put a stop to it whenever they want. They become, as they get older and more mature, they become more aware of this, and they just take their chances when they want, or sometimes they don't care if Wicked's not, watching them or whatever. So, the plot is the plot. The plot is, if you know anything about the Maze Runner, it starts with a series of mazes. This, in terms of a plot, explains how the mazes got built, how Thomas's role impacts the mazes. It gives you little, I don't know if you want to call them Easter eggs or little snippets of certain elements from other books that show up later, but you see the very briefly, you run into them in this book. But all that being said, what I really liked was how you get more of an understanding of Thomas's character and how his reluctance to help Wicked in the trilogy stems from this. So even though he has lost his memories, he still, I guess, instinctually has this natural feeling that although the cause is good for, like, we're trying to find a cure to save humanity, their methods are very cruel. And very extreme, and especially to children. And he gets to the point where enough is enough. But I guess that translates into the trilogy later. However, he has no recollection of any of these events in this book, so it makes it interesting. So his feelings about this are so this is my interpretation, by the way. His feelings about everything are so deeply rooted inside him that even though he doesn't remember all these things, he still remains true to himself later in the series. So that kind of completes him as a whole character, I think, in my opinion. And the ultimate best part in this book is right at the last possible chapter, pages, whatever you want to call it, where you read a certain something. I'm not going to say what it is, who it's by, or whatever. You read a certain something, and the words that you read drastically change how you look at the original trilogy. The dynamic of the characters is totally thrown off after. You can actually probably go back, reread the first three, knowing what you know in this book now, and be like, what the F is going on? Like, even when I was thinking back to books 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, after reading the end of this, I was like, wow, that is... So I don't know if Mr. James Dashner intended that from the beginning, if that was what was going on the whole time, or if he geniusly threw it in after. Either way, it changes a lot of the dynamics of the characters, and it's more of like a nerd fanboy thing. I don't know what you want to call it. Like, it doesn't change the plot, the outcome, but it does change how you perceive and how you look at the certain characters and motives and things like that. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to spoil it. Definitely read this, and do not read it first. Even though it's a prequel, do not read it first. Read it in the intended order that it was written, which is how they were written, which is Maze Runner, Scorched Trials, Death Cure, Killzone, then Fever Code. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. That is the end of the Maze Runner series. I look forward to ranking my favorites at some point. I want to have reasons for why I rank them the way that I rank them, so I will need time to do that. And I want to watch each film, compare the book to its film counterpart. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care.